Angus's message a separate thing that only time and secrecy. I made it a thing that only Val and Nate had access to. So they have listened to that message. But I'm going to move it over. And we are going to actually start with Moana for this bit.
Great. All right, so Moana is going to go to Colin. Where's Colin? Where's Colin hanging out?
Hey, where's Colin? He
Um,
dwelled during the days.
well, this is still like the next morning, right?
Yeah.
Then Colin
Presumably.
probably caught up on some of the sleep he's been skipping for a few days, finally. So, I mean, I imagine he's like, you know, back at the house deciding what to do with his time.
But is he awake or is he just...
By now, I'm sure he is. He doesn't tend to sleep in very much.
Okay. I'm just gonna sort of knock softly at the door frame of the room that Colin is in. Hello, may I bother you, Colin?
Colin opens the door slightly and says, "Lucian is still sleeping."
Okay. Lucian is snoring loudly.
I don't know why I'm whispering. He can't hear us.
Is now a good time for us to continue our conversation that we had started?
Oh, sure. Yeah, let me just, I'll be right out.
Okay.
And he closes the door, gets, more properly dressed and comes out.
He puts on his most academic robe.
Not his most academic robe.
So it's not the one with the elbow pads?
No, that's not his most academic robe. His most academic robe has like the detached hood and like tassels on one side.
That's pretty academic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's sort of a floppy hat that goes with it.
But he's wearing his what? Like this is his seminar robe?
Yeah, this is just sort of his his semi-formal kicking around the library attire.
It's got a nice tweed cape.
So, you want to go to I assume we're going to walk towards the library, probably. The library space.
Good luck.
Was that a threat?
Good luck.
The library's in this house.
Good luck.
Yeah, it's just Colin's library.
It definitely sounded like you're planning to kill us.
I got to kill somebody.
Constance is going to ambush us in the library. Who's got the card now? Yeah, I don't think Moana has actually noticed yet that her library card is missing. We'll get to that scene when we get to that scene.
The tissue's ready.
Yeah, we'll save that. I've got a note made of that. So
yeah, okay. So we go into the library, and I think we I assume there's probably like a table in there, and I think we both just sort of sit at the table, and I kind of lean in and I say, I've got some things I'd like to talk to you about. I'd like to borrow some of your knowledge if you'll share it.
I'm happy to share knowledge. I was sort of planning on asking you a few things too, so it's convenient.
So it is. Would you like to go first, or should I?
Why don't you, as I try and find some notes that I have somewhere.
Are you speaking as Colin right now?
No, I have notes that I'm trying to find.
Okay.
Exist. For sure they exist.
So, Tiggs, I'm just going to ask you some of the questions that I sent you by text earlier. And I think I'm going to start with the like sort of probably lightest one, which is the Meanlock one.
Yeah.
Before we segue into the bigger discussion. Do you mind if I ask while you're looking for your notes?
No, go ahead.
Colin, I have a small question. In one of the dungeons, I actually forget how this came about, but let's say I tell him this story. Long story short, there's a mean lock that owes me a favor.
Oh.
I don't know quite what they're capable of, though, and I don't know what to ask it. Are you familiar with that manner of creature?
Would I be, Josh? Like it seems.
A Meanlock is a really sort of basic fey creature, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like our dude knows the fucking planes, but I don't know how much he would know about like Feywild. So just roll an accurate Arcana check to find out how much he knows about Feywild, like zoology.
Do I remember what Colin's stats are? Well, let's see. I rolled a 10, and I'm reasonably sure he had like a plus 12 or some shit.
Something kind of absurd.
It's at least a plus 11. I know that for sure. Also, Colin hasn't been leveled up.
Yeah.
So it's only higher than I probably have in my character sheet for him.
Okay. Well, then you do know what it is. Yes.
Okay. I'm familiar with Meanlocks. They have pretty standard Fey abilities, especially sort of the darker court Fey. And although they might not actually belong to any court, they're probably wild fairies. I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic. Right, they have a sort of magical fear aura about them. What do you need one to do, I guess?
Well, I guess I don't know yet, but I would like to be able to know what they're able to do so I can identify the right moment to call upon him. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so. Well, I think they have some limited teleportation abilities. Not terribly uncommon for Fae. They don't do well in sunlight, though. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's certainly a thing to keep in mind. Although, if you think one might be useful to you in a dungeon, for example, that probably won't be a problem.
Sorry, I'm out of character, just writing notes. Although I imagine in character she's probably writing notes too.
Yeah, makes sense. That's honestly like, I literally have a thing about what Meanlocks can do in front of me just to remind myself of some of the specifics. That's most of the things they can do.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say, I'll say as the DM, I mean, like Meanlocks might have connections within the Feywild, like socially.
Yeah, like
but that's the most you're gonna get out of a Meanlock.
Colin for sure knows about Meanlocks, but he doesn't know the Meanlock who owes you a favor.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yep. Tell me more about this fear aura.
Oh well, they sort of they're a bit scary looking, some would say. But it's a bit deeper than that. It's definitely got a natural magical component. They just sort of project a certain fearsome aura that scares away some weaker predators, that sort of thing.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much. That's helpful because I, as Q, have looked up Meanlocks, but I think it's good for Moana to actually hear it in character.
Yeah.
What they can do. Great. I have more questions for you, but do you want to ask me one of yours first?
Well, to be honest, it might be a little bit personal. Are you all right with that?
Well, shoot. And if I feel that you've crossed a line or something, I won't answer. Will you grant me that?
Of course, sure. I've been doing a lot of reading this week. More than usual, I guess. And aside from things we've already talked a bit about, and my trip to the library, I've been trying to draw some connections. I've been thinking a lot about what we saw in the frozen cave, and well, I'm trying to learn about this creature, about the Cave King, and it's all sort of conjecture. There's supposedly writings about him that I haven't really been able to find. There's a book, the Book of Deep Rhymes. I haven't been able to find a copy of it anywhere, and I'm hoping that I can find some information about where I might be able to find a copy. But anyway, the point is, I started doing some research into different religions, trying to find connections between them, through lines that seemed related to the things that we're, and especially you, the jewel crabs, are dealing with, I guess. And anyway, I found a little bit of writing about the Trisme religion, and that's you're a practitioner of that, am I right?
That's correct.
Right. It's certainly I don't have to tell you, but the people of Vagar are insular. So there's not a lot. I mean, you're the first practitioner of the Trism I've ever actually met.
I'm not surprised we don't need to travel very far.
Yeah, I got that impression. There aren't a lot of writings that you can find if you're not an insider. It's sort of I found a few small limited anthropological studies and the like. They sort of described the many gods that you follow. I read in one book that these gods came from a part of the Ondine, the fountainhead, and it described the clerics as wife and mother and very close familial relationships to their gods. Also read something about having to. I guess this is where it maybe gets a little very personal, but that you all sacrifice something for your gods early on.
Yes, that's true. You may have noticed I don't have a tail.
And he's immediately he just looks super embarrassed without drawing that connection.
It's okay. It's okay.
Right. I guess part of my question is about that sacrifice. You've given up your tail, a literal piece of yourself. I'm trying to determine sort of what the nature of that sacrifice is, as far as its significance to your religion and to these small gods, I suppose, these personal gods.
Well, this dovetails really neatly into some stuff I wanted to talk to you about. Sorry, what was that?
I just said dove's tail.
Dove's tail.
Talking to myself.
So you want to know more about the nature of the sacrifice? Well, I mean, from the outside, it's you have it quite. You have a quite accurate understanding of it. It's just an exchange. It's transactional. One sacrifices one's tail. In my sect, it's always the tail, and in return, one ceremoniously marries, strengthens their bond to their personal god.
I see. Okay. What does that do for the god?
Well, I've been questioning that. Look, Colin, it's a bit dangerous for me to. My God can listen and can hear what we talk about. So, pardon me for not being frank. I feel vulnerable even having this conversation, but perhaps we should write it out. Would you like to pass notes
Or
or act it
I
out?
will say, just as a DM, for the sake of doing this, if you, Colin may have another method of communicating without speaking.
Oh, Colin may, hey?
Does Colin have a message?
I don't know. Let me find out for you. It's very possible.
It would make sense.
Well, good news. It's not in his list of cantrips.
Well, you could just put it there.
I was gonna say I also don't. He might have it now. He's gone up
Yeah,
like
why
5
not?
levels.
Yeah, why not say he has it? It makes perfect sense for him to have it. It's a very practical spell.
I don't know, man. You wrote the spell list.
Yeah, I was just giving him wizardy ass spells. I didn't think about it. Yeah, give a message. He can have message. I think
Sure.
I think that's something he would like. He's a practical guy. I think that's something he would.
I think he's actually going to like scoot to the other end of. I've been picturing this with them sitting at a table. I don't know if you have too, Q.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna picture. I'm imagining him just like taking his chair and scooting to the other end of the table, leaning his arms on it, and like putting his hand in front of his mouth, and just sort of like pointing one of the fingers of that hand at you. And you hear his voice kind of whispering in your head, saying, "All right, well, this should help, I think."
And I can send messages back, right?
Yeah, you basically have a
you can
two-way
respond.
connection. Yeah.
I guess that's actually the first thing I think. Can I send messages back?
And from behind his hand, he's kind of smiling, and he says, "Well, you just did."
Oh, perfect. Oh, perfect. Okay, so for the rest of this conversation until we play otherwise, it's all going to be in
Yeah, that's fine.
message. Okay. All right. I think a flood of thoughts kind of hits Colin from Moana, because I think, like, as soon as I know it's safe to communicate this through message, I think I send kind of like a lot of thought and feelings and words all at once.
I think he's gonna try and just like hold up his hand for a second and go, "Oh, okay, you slow down a little bit. It's only a cantrip. It can only translate so fast."
Okay. And I'm making an assumption here that it also picks up like the strength of like some emotional words and stuff.
A little bit. It's like literally a whispered message. So like the urgency that you're putting forth in your thoughts would definitely be coming through, I think.
Cool. Yeah. So the first thing I tell you is I never wanted to make the sacrifice. The sacrifice was decided on my behalf. I've been told Guy isn't even a god. I'm doubting so much, Colin. I don't know what to do.
What do you mean Guy isn't a god?
I was told that Guy, by Sybil, so the jewel crabs went to see something of a fortune teller. She knew a lot about us, and I'm inclined to believe her. She told me that Guy isn't a god, but that they want to be. I've also been told that, and Josh, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was the same conversation where Sybil also said that Guy is something of a seed.
Yeah.
And
And Guy kind of has confirmed that.
yeah, Guy has confirmed that. That's right. Guy is a seed, and I fear that I'm part of some larger cosmic machination that I have not chosen to be part of, and I'm growing increasingly suspicious of being manipulated by gods or godlike things. Do you know what I mean?
I think there's kind of a long pause, and Colin's face is very serious. He's still got his mouth behind his hand, and after a moment, he says, "How sure are you that Guy can't hear this?"
I've never done this cantrip before. Josh, can you help? Like, are you quite sure?
He's never been able to read your mind.
That's
as far
right.
as you can tell.
That's actually affected me a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah. He can enter your mind via dreams. But he can't there is a level of like thus far there has been a level of separation between you and Guy where
In the realm of thoughts. Yeah.
in the realm of thoughts, yeah. So like your true intentions, Guy doesn't know. Guy and Guy is sometimes confused by your responses to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Guy is still, you got the impression that Guy's still learning about who you are.
Yeah.
So from all evidence points to the fact that Guy can't read your mind.
Great. And it's a great reminder that actually keeping things to myself has protected me many times.
Yeah.
From awkward scenarios with Guy. So I respond, if this is just us thinking, then I'm quite sure.
Moen, I've been thinking a lot about beings that want to be gods. I've been thinking about it since before I realized that, everything we saw and everything we've talked about in the last couple of days was something I had to be concerned about. I have learned a few things that feel connected, and they scare me.
Okay. Can you tell me?
I think I mentioned the cabin that my uncle left behind. My friends and I went to stay there once, and we found a whole series of passages and chambers underneath, which proved that apparently my uncle was a very, very dangerous necromancer.
Oh my. How are you handling that information?
Well, we weren't close. But he had this chalkboard, and he had been trying to figure something out. It's been stuck in my head, and, well, when I read the Black Book, that connected a few dots for me. There was all this writing about sort of unused souls, in a sense, being used to pour into one being to ascend them. Sort of like watering and feeding a seed.
Oh my.
I don't know.
Unused souls?
That's not quite the right way to put it. A soul exists in sort of supposedly in this sort of in the astral plane. It's sort of a piece of To use a similar metaphor to what I described before, a piece of potential. And that filters into a being, becomes something more specific. It lives, it dies, it returns, it goes through a cycle. So it's sort of raw energy when it isn't a being in a way. And so this theory that my uncle was chasing after suggested that that energy could be used to become a capital P power. I don't know if that sort of thing is related to the seed of a god who wants to become a god. But what I do know is that it's an idea of sacrifice. That's sort of what I've been chasing after reading about these different religions. Sacrifice is how so many of them create and become things.
Hmm. And in your religious comparisons, have you found anything on the nature of the sacrifice? Is it supposed to be willing?
It depends. Different religions are never entirely consistent. For example, the Drow Empire, for a time, they followed this deity called Lulth, this great spider goddess, who could be persuaded to change the weave of existence through blood sacrifice. I don't think willing or unwilling entered into it.
Hmm.
There's now I'm actually like reading through some notes to remind myself of some things. I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, in the long run, that's sort of my point. Is that it varies. The point is more the intent of the person sacrificing, the best I can tell. But again, I'm connecting pretty disparate threads. These are belief systems from all over the world. I mean, I've even been reading about Yuan Ti cultures out west in the jungles.
Oh yes.
Yes. Supposedly, the Yuan Ti had some kind of knowledge of a way to ascend to godhood, but it's not really sure. It's not something certain. There aren't really Yuan Ti to ask about it.
Hmm. Is that part of the are Yuan-Ti asking out of character? Are they out of
Snake people.
Snake people, Sneeple.
okay, I know from Sneeple. In the universe of IDL, are they known to be extinct or something? Is that
They
something?
are, yeah. The Yuan-Ti are supposed to be extinct. They're believed to be extinct. They lived in the Wester Wilds, way to the west in the jungles. The Here There Be Giants, Here There Be Dragons part of the world.
Mhm.
It's a place where people just don't go. It's the Vagar is actually one of the places closest to the Wester Wilds.
Okay.
So you would be, I think, familiar with the stories about the Yuan-Ti
Mhm.
and how they had, even in the midst of this wild, untamed country, they had a civilization deep in the jungles.
I'm sure I would have read about it. It sounds like something that would probably have been recorded
Yeah.
and put in the library. Yeah.
But they went extinct. Archaeologists are still trying to figure out why, and how.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
many believe that it was self-inflicted.
Yeah. Colin, I don't know how these other religions are connected, but I did find a piece of writing after a lot of digging that that suggested there's a way to break the Trismi bond.
Break the bond. How? Where did you find it?
They tried to erase all the records of it, but I found some what's the word I'm looking for? SQ. I found some sort of cryptic references to it, and followed some hunches in the Vago library. I had to look through the archives, but apparently it happened once, a long, long, long time ago. One Trismi scholar, more as an experiment than anything else, was able to break the bond with their god. But the records were largely expunged, and I can understand why they wouldn't want record of this to have happened in the past. But Colin, honestly, I'm trying to do the same.
Does Guy know you've been looking for this?
Oh, hell no. No, 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 no. No. And I'm scared of what will happen, because as Guy grows stronger, I grow stronger, and as I grow stronger, Guy grows stronger. I don't know what would happen if I broke the bond. I don't know if I'd be a cleric anymore. I don't know if Bix would be safe. That I have.
Wait, why wouldn't Bix be safe?
Bix was nurtured by Guy's magic. I adopted Bix when they were just a tadpole, swimming in a pitcher plant, and it was through Guy's magic that Bix was able to form into a life form of his own without relying on the Bullywug and Grung environment to grow.
Okay.
I'm scared, Colin.
So you don't know any of the specifics of how the bond might be broken. You only know that someone may have done it once.
I know a couple of specifics. This is why I joined the IDL in the first place, Colin. This is my reason for being here. Is all I know is if I reach the lowest part, the deepest abyss in the world, I can find my tail. And there I can break the bond. I don't know much more than that. But if I go to the deepest, deepest place in the world, I have a chance. And that is why I'm here. Because the final dungeon is at the Raycova Mines.
Did the other jewel crabs know this?
No.
And I assume you'd prefer I kept this to myself?
Correct. I do feel like I can trust you. I think we both search for truth in a similar way.
Searching for truth hasn't been very good for me lately.
I'm sorry about the Black Book.
Okay, all right. So, You're in a race then.
Yeah, how do you see it?
You're trying to get one thing while your god or whatever it is chasing after a different thing, and both of you have to go in the same direction to try and get your goal, but one of you has to get to it first.
Right. And I don't know.
Sounds very bad.
Yes. From what I understand, it would be possible for Gi to manifest as a physical form. I don't know really what that means either. But I don't care to find out.
See. Josh, just
Yes.
real shot in the dark here.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that Colin would have any prior knowledge of someone, severing ties with a deity, or with like an arcane patron, or like removing themselves from that kind of attachment?
Roll an Arcana check. No,
Yeah.
a history check.
Ooh, I know he's also good at that. Let me pull up his thingamajig here.
It's got to be high.
History is a little lower than Arcana, but it is a quite high.
Give it a roll.
Yeah, this is him at level 8. He has a +8.
Yeah.
Ooh, I rolled a natural 1, I'm sad to say.
Oh
He's never heard of that before.
Yeah.
no!
It's very interesting, though.
A relief. I was going to make up a fable.
Okay. Gosh, what is he even thinking about this? This is tough, I think, because in a way, Colin is like, this is also very interesting, and he likes Moana very much, and he's interested in it on that basis as well.
Mhm.
But also, I think it probably feels a little irrelevant to the stuff that he's super worried about. Like,
Yeah.
not entirely, because there is a connection, like what he's learned about the Trisme, and especially in this conversation, definitely feels connected to his prior research.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think he's not sure how much to like focus in on it right now.
Mhm.
I'll be a little offended if Colin thinks my me spilling all my heartfelt secrets is irrelevant.
It's like he thinks it's very relevant to his personal interests as a person who considers you a friend.
Yeah.
And he definitely wants to be a helpful person,
Uh-huh.
and is also like really concerned about completely other, as far as he knows, unrelated cosmic powers fucking everything up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's just a little conflicted in that respect.
I care about Moana and I want to listen, but I wish it was more about my research.
Colin's constant problem. I love the heroes, but it's like they've never even read a book.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? I just spilled my heart and soul to
Well,
you.
I think for one, I think he definitely. Yeah, I think after a few moments consideration, he would definitely say, "Well, thank you for sharing that with me. I mean that. I know that can't be easy, and also, this is very strange and scary, and Hmm. I want to help if I can. I don't know if I can.
I don't know how to ask you for the help yet, but if I think of it, you'll be the one I come to, Colin.
Well, I'll be happy to do whatever I can, if I can. And how to put this? I think it's really very important that Guy doesn't learn about my research.
I agree. I think this is a good out of character. I think this is a good spot to probably end this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
with
I genuinely sort of don't know what else to say on that point. There's a lot to consider.
Yeah, no, I think that I think.
I think both of our characters legit just need to sort of digest what we talked about, just like we
Yeah.
are as people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Good seeing you guys. Let's hop back to the night before. So and the image of Angus McAngus flickers. You hear the words. The last words that Angus speaks are, "Tell your mother I'm sorry." And then the image flickers and turns off. So we're going right after that.
Is what's his name still there? Are we
Yeah,
still
Caleb's
in
still
the...
there. Yeah.
Okay. So Nirmor is going to kind of look back and forth between the two of them, then land on Breathe and ask, so is this what you guys have been learning about or working towards? Or that was a lot to take in.
I think Caleb at this point is just staring at Breve.
Yeah.
And kind of glancing at the box as well.
Yeah, this isn't this is a little deeper than what we'd been starting. I wasn't privy to all of this. We were just trying to, well, from what I understood, we were just trying to find out a little bit of some orc history. Yeah, this is deep. This is a lot to take in. Yeah. I'm just gonna look at Caleb and I guess I'm just like at a loss for words. I'm just sort of like, this is true. This is all true.
I think it is. You're really the McAngus. You're his son. He said your name and his legacy. Breathe. This is a lot.
And this is more than just finding out about my dad, though. This is
No, this is. I mean that's confirmed. There's no doubt anymore about that.
Yeah.
This could be the future of orcdom. It's a chance to fix everything.
Yeah, it's not just the future. It's the past and the future. Wow. Okay. You know, I might have something else that can add to this tapestry. While we were in the last dungeon, I found an old book. I didn't know what it was. I was about ready to throw it away. But it's I guess it's some sort of tome of kings and talks about the history of histories, and I don't know. It's pretty deep. I guess once I start, I gotta just keep plowing through it. But the king that my dad just spoke about, I wonder if he's in this book. If there's more of the picture to be revealed.
I mean, maybe. I mean, if it's a tome that of a lost tome of kings, maybe it talks about what we were and about what we could be again. I mean, this is Brave. This is big. I don't know. I mean, you have to decide if this is the path you're going to take. If you're going to fulfill this destiny, I think you're the only one who can. But you're the one who has to make that choice. It's all there. It's like he said. I mean, I'm sure it's all there. He translated it. You just. Do you mind if I look at it? The notes.
Look at what?
The notes.
Oh yeah, sure.
All right, let me just. And you can see he takes a few minutes to just skim through them. And he's just like, and it's sort of bound in a little, like, very basically bound, like just papers sort of tied together kind of notebook, like a manuscript. And he's just flipping through it, and he reads something, and he says, at the center of the earth, a portal to the Shadowfell. I mean, you could do this. I mean, there's only one way that you can do this. But all you need to do, I mean, I don't even think this will be that difficult. The power source is tricky. But we can figure that out. Let's see.
I just want to say that while he's doing this, Niramore just kind of walks over and just leans over and is looking at it while he is looking at it.
Yeah, and the page he's reading talks about. I haven't thought of exactly the details of this ritual yet, but essentially it describes a ritual where the main components of the ritual involve opening a portal to the Shadowfell and access in a particular space. The location of the event that supposedly was going to happen. So this manuscript describes, this journal describes the king's plan, and the king's plan is to reach into the Ethereum and know the mind of God. And the king has discovered that the only place to do that is at the center of the world, at the place where, at the ethereal nexus, the place where all things sprout from. And that's at the center of the world. the heart of the ethereal fire, and that if the ethereal plane is accessed through there, he might be able to reach in and touch the mind of the universe. But that if it doesn't work, if something goes wrong, if the contingency plan is basically if the wizard also survives and is able to go back to this place, this place will be undoubted. He believes, because of the amount of magic that has to be used to perform this experiment, that this place will have a very strong echo in the Shadowfell, so that if the Shadowfell is entered from that place, this moment can be visited, and that with the right connection to the material plane, this moment can be brought back and changed. And basically it describes precisely how to do that in the moment. And the greater details are in a further page, but it describes that this is what the ritual will do.
Yeah.
It has to be in the center of the world, where at the ethereal nexus.
Only we had access to some deep dungeons.
Well, that's just the thing. I mean, supposedly the Raycoven mind reaches the center of the world.
It's all coming together.
That's the last mine of the dungeon. That's the last mine of the competition. It's the final dungeon. It always is. It's a see how far down you can go dungeon. If you can make it down all the way, I mean, nobody's ever done it in the competition. Supposedly, there's stories about people going down there.
Breve, if I may.
But
Yeah.
Look, I don't mean to put more pressure on you, but I think part of my mission here is to help you with yours. So I I know Caleb says you have to choose to do this, but I think the entire universe wants you to do this.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I for the longest time I've just been trying